Star Trek, raiding the game. Federation Heavy Cruiser, USS Constellation, NCC 1017A, late year 159, uncontested space above galactic plane. Captain's personal log, stardate 7510.3. Starfleet has always been a military organization, yet I have frequently heard starship captains deny the military aspect of the fleet. Even the scout ships are armed with phasers. Many of these armed explorers claim they use their weapons only in self-defense. This is neither historically accurate nor professionally honest. True, our starships are custodians of scientists and pure explorers, but even these individuals arm themselves with hand phasers and landing parties. Weapons are as essential to a starship and its crew as warp drive and shields. The primary difference between myself and many of Starfleet's captains is that I am honest about my role in the Federation. I am a warrior, a soldier, and I admit it openly. Defensive weapons are always offensive weapons. Many in the Federation would balk at this, but we warriors are essential to the maintenance of our borders, especially now during the Organian Peace Treaty, which has done virtually nothing to end general hostilities between the galaxy's species. For all of our high-minded rhetoric, we are at war, and the warriors are expected to keep the peace. It is a seeming contradiction, but it is the way of the Federation. We come in peace, well armed. Captain Sawyer's ancestry was British, and one of his ancestors had served as captain of the HMS Renown during the Napoleonic Wars. Commanding a starship had always been Sawyer's destiny, and he relished it. Like any good captain, he loved his ship and cared for his crew. Now Captain Sawyer relaxed in the center seat and considered his ship. In honor of the previous Commodore's command, the Starfleet shipyards had built a new Constellation, a refitted Constitution class. The previous Constellation had been used to destroy a planet killer from somewhere outside the galaxy. Sawyer's ship was now armed not only with phasers and photon torpedoes, but with added drone racks as well. This was no ship of exploration, even though it was currently exploring uncharted space above the galactic plane, but a vessel capable of destroying the entire surface of a typical Class M planet. But our mission above the galactic plane is a peaceful enterprise of exploration. None of us expects to encounter enemy ships up here. Constellation passed through the galactic barrier with the use of an intensified force field designed to scatter the high energy around the ship. We are currently recharging the field density. I am happy to serve the explorers and to be one myself for a change. War has wearied me. The red alert klaxon howled from the ship's speakers as a male Cation helm officer reported immediately with a growl. "Proximity alert, Captain. Possible hostile ships approaching. Range 50,000 kilometers, closing fast." "Impossible!" exclaimed Captain Sawyer. "Full shields, standby weapon systems." He never asked for it, and was never truly content to play his role as warrior, but this was his career, his ship, crew, and the task of protecting the Federation against its enemies. In truth, this was his very identity. Weary or not, content or not, battle had come to him. Sawyer called for the comm officer. "Ginny, pipe the Holst." "Aye, sir," Ginny replied. "Playing now from computer archive." Holst's Mars movement from the planets beat out the silence on every deck. Like the drums of old Earth warriors, it spurred the crew to battle. Gorn Confederation Dreadnought Doom Lizard. The Doom Lizard had been attempting to shake the Tholian from its tail, only to find itself suddenly in extra-galactic space above the galactic plane. Captain Gila was not fleeing, merely avoiding confrontation. His ship could probably take out the Tholian dreadnought in a slug match if it came to it, but Captain Gila considered himself an explorer first and a warrior second, even though he was in command of the Confederation's second most powerful starship. After a day of flight and the inexplicable incident of suddenly finding himself beyond the galactic barrier, Captain Gila was ready to turn and fight. He was alone in deep space. The time for battle was upon him. "Captain," Commander Kamen exclaimed, "another ship just showed up on sensors." "Identify," he ordered. Captain Kamen peered into his scope. "Federation," he replied. "Heavy cruiser class. The USS Constellation, Captain Sawyer commanding." "Incalculably fortunate," he mused to himself. "Communications, open a channel to—" But he was interrupted by live fire from the trailing Tholian dreadnought. "Full shield power to aft deflector. Do not let them take down that number 4 shield." "Too late, Captain. They are firing 2 phaser 3s. Number 4 shield is down. We have sustained hull damage." "Send damage control to compromised hull. Communications call for reinforcements." Commander came and checked his scope. "1 ping to starboard, aft. Too far to identify yet." "Captain Sawyer on emergency channel," reported the comm officer. "Open channel." Captain Sawyer's face appeared on the Gorn view screen. "Captain Gila," he began. "Captain Sawyer," he replied. "You are under attack by a Tholian dreadnought." "Yes, Captain. We have no desire for hostilities and have allowed ourselves to be pursued by the Tholian. Then suddenly we were here in extra-galactic space. And right into our flight path. This can be no coincidence." "I agree. Crossing the galactic barrier was not our doing." "But it was someone's," Captain Sawyer concluded. "There can be no other rational explanation," Captain Gila agreed. "Regardless of how we got here, together we are here. My ship will provide weapons assistance, and together we can take out this web-spinning pursuer." "Any assistance is appreciated and will strengthen the bonds between our 2 species," Captain Gila replied philosophically. "I agree. Stand by for assistance." The screen went blank as Commander Kamen reported from his scanning station. "Captain, our call for reinforcements has alerted another vessel." "One of ours?" he inquired hopefully. "No, sir, it is another Tholian, destroyer class." "Damn it! But with Sawyer's ship, we hold the advantage." For now, he thought. Tholian Holdfast Dreadnought, Guardian. The Tholian gunnery officer reported to his captain, "We took out their number 4 shield and scored hull damage on the Gorn Dreadnought, but they have used rapid damage control to repair all compromised hull. They are currently rerouting power to erect the aft shield. A Federation heavy cruiser is in the very near vicinity and moving to assist the Gorn." Tholian Captain Christine slammed a fiery fist into her control panel as her lava blood boiled. "We have not chased these cold-blooded lizards this far only to cease our pursuit now. Give me something I can use against them." "Captain, the Federation starship is firing a drone at us," reported the tactics officer. "Activate tractor beam. Take out that drone." The gunnery officer complied. "Drone is out." "Another ship on our scope, Captain," the tactics officer informed her. "Who?" she demanded. The tactics officer peered into his scanner before replying buoyantly. "It's one of ours, Captain. It's the Triax." "The Triax is a destroyer." "Correct. Contact Triax. Relate all our log entries for the past 32 hours. "Aye, Captain, sending message." "The scales and the soft skins," Captain Christine thought aloud, "and us. All together in such a small region of space, in all the reaches of the galaxy, and we 3 end up here. How? I suspect another agent at work in this battle." Her science officer was at her side. "I agree," she said. 4 ships from 3 different governments. Beyond the galactic barrier. I do not believe in coincidence." "Neither do I. Not like this." Gorn Confederation Dreadnought Doom Lizard. "Another starship is approaching, Captain," exclaimed Commander Kamen. "I assume you are referring to the Tholian destroyer," Captain Gila responded. "No, sir. It is a Klingon D6 battlecruiser. Captain Gila grabbed his mandible into a tight, scaly fist. Now I know that this engagement is no mere accident. Someone or thing wants us here. Klingon battlecruiser on attack vector. Do not raise your voice again, Commander. And then in a hissed whisper, it sets a bad example for the other officers, and it frightens the crew. Aye, sir, Commander Kamen replied in a quieter murmur, but his adrenaline was not yet spent as his voice rose upon seeing the image in his scanner. The Klingon is firing weapons, Captain. The ship rocked as the energy beams cut through its number 5 shield and impacted on the hull with explosive force. Damage, the captain demanded. Disruptor on overload, Kamen reported. That's how they cut through our shields. And a shot from a phaser too. Extensive hull damage aft and to port and starboard. Captain Gila turned to his comm officer. Order damage control to assess repairs and give me an estimate on how long it will take them to give me shields. Open a frequency to that damned Klingon ship. Aye, Captain. Hailing now. Klingon Empire D6 battlecruiser destruction. Commander Tak gave a hearty battle cry. Excellent shooting, he praised the gunner. The number 5 shield is down and we have smashed her hull. Thank you, Commander, the gunner replied. Gorns are big targets. They're hailing us, said the Klingon at the comm station. Tak laughed and spun in his chair. So the lizards want to talk. Activate viewer. On the screen, Captain Gila sat forward confidently and grabbed Commander Tak's gaze. He did not preface his exchange with purposeless speech. Klingon Commander, you have attacked this vessel, a provocation of war. But Tak was not so easily goaded into loose words. Be very careful how you mention war to a Klingon. I may take that as a request. You have attacked a superior vessel. I do not want to fight you. My dreadnought can easily take you in battle. Tak guffawed gruffly and growled, Do not threaten me if you do not mean to act on your words. We Klingons have an ancient saying, battle begins where words leave off. A platitude comprehensible only by Klingons, I presume, Captain Gila replied coldly. Tak waved him off. Cut transmission! Wait, Gila roared. You should be made aware that none of us is here by chance. Some force has led us here. Whatever that force may be, it appears obvious we were meant to battle by design. Bah! Do you want me to fire on them, Commander? Asked the gunner. No, I was not speaking Klingonese. I was vocalizing my impatience for this ridiculous reptile. Ridiculous is precisely what this situation is, Gila continued rapidly. 5 ships together in such a small volume of space, outside of charted territories and above the galactic plane. Does that not seem to you beyond chance? We need not fight. In fact, we must not. We are only amusing the true force against us all. I'll show you true force. Cut transmission now. Captain Gila was replaced by a tactical overlay on the view screen. TAC's science officer approached carefully from the side of the commander's throne. Sir, if I may offer an observation, is it a helpful one? Perhaps, but not for glory. The lizard might have spoken the truth. We do find ourselves outside the galaxy. You gave no such order. How did we end up here? This halted TAC for a moment. I do not remember, he said to himself, thinking back as far as he could. I cannot remember. Should we not keep this in mind, in addition to the fact that we do indeed appear to be assembled in this empty space for the purpose of combat? We Klingons fight on our own terms for our own reasons, Commander Tak snarled. Then what are we doing here? It was an essential question, one for which Tak had no answer. He only knew one thing: battle. We will not disengage, he concluded. This lapse in memory does not concern me, Lieutenant. Only battle, and battle for glory, however it came to us, is not to be discarded. It is to be seized. Success, Commander. Success indeed, Lieutenant. Tholian Holdfast Dreadnought Guardian. Captain, exclaimed the tactics officer. A second Klingon warship is closing on fast from astern. Give me its identity, Captain Christine ordered. The tactics officer watched his screen. The ship is now in range to identify. It is a D-7V carrier. Gunnery officer, stand by to counter fighter attack. Yes, Captain. And tactics officer, reinforce our rear shield. Too late! Sizzling blue beams shot from the Klingon carrier and impacted on the Tholian's number 4 shield. Phasers 2 and 3 from the Klingon carrier have knocked out our aft shield. Extensive hull damage. Damn it! Give us some maneuvering room. This battle is growing too crowded. Yes, Captain, Helm replied. Know this all. We are not retreating, but gaining tactical distance with which to smash our adversaries like chrysalids in their natal shells. Put the triax on main viewer. Hailing now, Captain. This is Captain Christine of the Tholian Dreadnought Guardian. Respond. The view screen shimmered, and heat ripples presented the captain of the triax. I am Captain Keener of the destroyer Triax. He paused. Captain Christine, please inform me of this bizarre scenario in which we find ourselves. Captain Keener, we have been pursuing and attacking a Gorn dreadnought that passed through our territory. Is this true? A Gorn incursion into the Holdfast? Yes, it is the unfortunate truth, she lied. In fact, the two ships met within 20,000 kilometers in border space. The Gorn dreadnought had done nothing but flee once the Guardian began her attack. We chased the scale skins up here into extra-galactic space. Captain Keener scrutinized Captain Christine, unconvinced, but always eager to fight the enemies of the Holdfast. Triax stands ready to assist you, Captain. Gratitude, Triax, she replied. May the Holdfast forever crystallize, he responded. Klingon Empire, D-7V, carrier, Iron Fist. What are we even doing here? Demanded First Gunner Groth. Klingon Commander Katag was enraged. How can you question such fortune, Groth? Here we are, one of 6 starships. In uncontested space. Today we act like true Klingons, not the cowards who have allowed the Organian peace treaty to domesticate them. Commander, joined the science officer, you must admit. Katug stood from his throne-like command chair and shoved the science officer to the deck. I must admit nothing. Not to you, not to Groth, not to any man aboard this ship. But, Commander, the science officer continued, splayed out on the deck, how did 6 starships end up here? You cannot believe in such an improbability. Katug kicked the science officer in the face. The man lay prone and unconscious. Get that mangy targ off my bridge, he ordered. But the security officers were not responding. They both looked to Groth and to Katog's first officer, Locke. Who are you looking at, you fools? Follow my orders immediately. The security officers moved towards the science officer, their disruptor pistols drawn. When they were within a meter of the command chair, First Officer Locke yelled, Now! The security officers aimed at Commander Katog and fired. Katog shrieked an octave higher than was common of Klingons and then disappeared into swirling green particles of disruptor energy. Locke took the command chair and opened a ship-wide transmission. This is First Officer Locke. Commander Katog has been relieved and I am now in command of the Iron Fist. Should any Klingon feel his loyalties torn... I'm picking up energy weapons fire all over the ship, interrupted the comm officer. Mutiny has erupted on every deck and there is resistance from Katog's loyalists. Security! Locke addressed the 2 men who had dematerialized their late commander. Lock out the bridge, engineering, and auxiliary control. Post guards at the turbo shaft and determine how many men we have on our side." The security officers saluted and turned to their duties. A moment later, one of the officers had his ear to a handheld communicator and was barking orders into the little box. "Sir," he addressed Locke, "Katog's loyalists have taken engineering and auxiliary control. My men are trying to get into those locations, but the opposition is stronger than we anticipated." The tactics officer did not even address his new commander as he spoke with disbelief. "Our shields are down." "What?" Locke exclaimed. "Raise them quickly." "I cannot," he replied. "The loyalists and auxiliary control dropped our shields and in place security overrides. I have no control over anything from this console." Suddenly the ship rocked hard. Locke looked at the main viewer and was shocked to see a Tholian dreadnought and destroyer with tractor beams locked onto the Iron Fist. He punched a ship-wide comm and screamed into the receiver, "You damned cowards and fools! You have handed the Iron Fist to the enemy!" The sound of Tholian transporters whined as shimmering light preceded the materialization of 10 Tholian boarders in environmental lava suits. Before anyone on the bridge could react, the boarders vaporized every Klingon on the bridge with Tholian hand phasers. In less than 2 minutes, the Iron Fist was seized by the Tholians. Tholian Holdfast Dreadnought Guardian. "The Klingon D7V has been captured," the tactics officer announced. "Comm officer, order the boarding parties home once they have liquidated all remaining Klingon resistance and tell the Triax to send a commander, helm, comm, and gunnery officers to man that ship. Helm, bring us about to attack the Gorn dreadnought." "Aye, Captain, coming about." "Gunnery officer, stand by on phasers." "Weapons locked," he replied. "Fire!" Captain Christine cried. Phaser 1 and Phaser 2 beams cut into the Gorn dreadnought, knocking out a Plasma F and a Plasma S, as well as a Phaser 1 and a Phaser 3. "Follow that scale skin, Helm. Tactics officer, overlay the entire battle on screen." "Aye, Captain." As she had feared, the battle had only become more crowded with 6 ships, all within 10,000 kilometers of each other. "We're in too tight," she said. "Helm, stay with the Gorn, but try to give us some maneuvering room, or else—" The Federation heavy cruiser had come about in all the excitement of a Klingon mutiny and capture of a Klingon D7V. "Comm officer," ordered Captain Christine. "Make a call for reinforcements. Gunnery officer, prepare weapons to attack the Federation starship. Security, stand by to repel boarders." "Our call for reinforcements was intercepted, Captain," reported the comm officer. "Intercepted? By whom?" "A Kzinti ship, Captain." "Now coming into visual range," reported the tactics officer. "It is a Kzinti frigate, designation FF-257. "Ignore it," Captain Christine ordered. "Helm, shake that Federation soft skin and keep us within a firing arc on that Gorn. We Tholians now control 3 vessels. Today we will secure victory for the Tholian Holdfast and bring greater security to our borders." Then the Federation heavy cruiser attacked. Federation heavy cruiser USS Constellation, NCC 1017A. "I am intercepting comm channels between the Tholian ships and the Klingon D7V, Ginny announced. "From all the chatter, I have discovered that the Tholians captured the D7V after a Klingon mutiny erupted." Captain Sawyer peered closely at the view screen and its tactical overlay. 7 starships. The Kzinti frigate. Will she attack us or join us? "Tholian dreadnought charging weapons," reported the tactical officer. "Let's not give her another chance," Sawyer said. "Charge phasers." "Weapons on your command, Captain." "Fire!" A Phaser 1 and Phaser 3 sizzled blue beams through space before impacting on the Tholians' compromised shields, breaking through and scoring critical damage. "Captain," the tactics officer informed him, "we have hit their web generator, a disruptor bank, a Phaser 1, and a Phaser 3. Fine shooting, Lieutenant. Helm, give us some distance from the heat of this battle. 7 ships within 10,000 kilometers. We'll be shooting at our allies if we don't widen the battlefield. Corin, the Constellation's Andorian science officer, turned from his scanner and fairly yelled, "Captain, a Romulan old cruiser has just warped into our battle space." Sawyer smacked his head. "You have got to be kidding." "I wish I were," Corin replied. 8 ships now. "The Romulan is firing on us," called the tactics officer. "Increase shield strength. Stand by to fire. Evasive." Corin looked up from his scanner at the main view screen. "Too late," he reported stoically. A plasma F broke through the heavy cruiser's shields. "We've taken hull damage, Captain," the tactics officer informed Captain Sawyer. "Get damage control on that immediately," Sawyer ordered. "The Doom Lizard is hailing us, Captain," Ginny said. "Captain Gila on emergency channel." "Open channel, Ginny." Captain Gila appeared on the main view screen. "Captain Sawyer. Captain Gila. A Romulan old cruiser just joined our absurd battle. It has fired on us, but damage control is hard at work on the hull and shields." "Yes, I know, but I have decided to rid myself of the tenacious spider on my tail." "Understandable. Stand by for further communications, Captain." "I was about to recommend the same, Captain." Gila's image shimmered, and the view screen displayed the 8 starships, each in its own stage of battle prep. "A 9th ship," announced the tactics officer. "Federation, Captain. It's a light cruiser, Minas Geras." "Minas Geras," Sawyer mused. "That's Captain Kim's ship. Open a hailing frequency, Ginny." "Starfleet frequency 98.8, already opened by Captain Kim. On screen, sir." "Captain Sawyer," Kim smiled. "What are we doing here?" Sawyer's brow furrowed. "Captain Kim, I believe we have been drawn here for the purpose of some unknown force. Can you not recall how you made it into extra-galactic space?" Captain Kim shook her head. "No, and none of my bridge crew can either. We were exploring space near the border of the Tholian holdfast, and then we were here. Where are we again? I find my navigator's data unbelievable." "Believe it," Captain Sawyer stated forcefully. "We're all flummoxed. So far, we have only had the opportunity to fight a defensive battle. I'm prepared to disengage. I don't like playing the pawn in someone else's game." Gorn Confederation Dreadnought Doom Lizard. "The Tholian Dreadnought is on an intercept course with us, Captain," reported Commander Kamen. "Perfect," Captain Gila beamed. "Now we savor vengeance." "Tholian at 5,000 kilometers. "Now!" roared Captain Gila. "Fire plasma F at their most compromised shield." The gunner steadied the Tholian target in his scope, armed the plasma F torpedo, awaited the scope's fire now prompt, and pulled the trigger. A green ball of superheated plasma erupted from the Gorn Dreadnought's torpedo launcher. The plasma screamed through space, impacting squarely on the Tholian's warp reactor. "Back off!" Gila commanded. The Doom Lizard veered starboard and down away from the Tholian Dreadnought. The Guardian exploded in space with the full force of a warp core breach. It shattered brilliantly like a giant crystal. The Gorns erupted into hissing cheers. Commander Gila sighed with this moment's relief. Federation Light Cruiser USS Minas Geras, NCC 1523. On the bridge of the Minas Geras, the crew's reaction to the Guardian's destruction was more subdued than that of the Gorns. Captain Kim mourned the loss of life. 8 ships now, reported her tactics officer, but we are all still within 10,000 kilometers. "Helm," Kim ordered, "see how much distance we can gain from the remaining enemy ships." "Taking us out to 15,000 kilometers, the helm replied. "Captain," cried the tactics officer, "the Romulan old cruiser is closing on us. They're locking weapons." "Evasive maneuvers," Kim replied. "All power to shields. Standby phasers and photon torpedoes." They're firing a Plasma S with enveloper. Do not let it overtake. But the plasma smashed through the Minas Gerais No. 4 shield and exploded within the ship's engineering section. The Minas Gerais lost antimatter containment and flared into a small sun before its particles were scattered over 20,000 kilometers. Federation heavy cruiser USS Constellation, NCC 1017A. Corin was the first to react. The Minas Gerais, he said with the least disbelief, is gone. 7 ships remaining. Captain Sawyer stood from his command chair and watched on the view screen the sparking particles of the Minas Gerais dying quickly in the vacuum. Captain Kim and I attended the academy together. She was an old friend. He bowed his head for several moments before turning to his comm officer. Jenny, prepare a disaster beacon with all ships' logs since entering into combat. Stand by to launch until we can get clear of our adversaries. I will give the order. Aye, aye, Captain. Uploading data to disaster beacon. Corin was talking strategy with the tactics officer and the ship's weapons officer when Captain Sawyer interrupted. The Tholians captured D7V is coming around. Weapons officer, arm phasers. Before the Iron Fist could react, the Constellation fired a phaser 2 and a phaser 3, causing major hull damage and the destruction of a fighter bay. The Iron Fist is not retreating, Corin informed his captain. I imagine the Tholians are not too pleased about losing their dreadnought, and they're taking revenge on us instead of Gila's ship because we're the weaker. Corin was alerted to his scope. Captain, Klingon D6 battlecruiser destruction is closing on attack vector. It just doesn't let up, Sawyer grumbled to himself. They're firing a disruptor, reported the tactics officer, his voice several decibels too high for the bridge of a Federation starship. A green bolt crossed the intervening space and scorched the Constellation systems, further hull damage, a photon torpedo tube, a phaser 1 bank, and the drone rack. That's Klingon gratitude, Sawyer stated flatly. We attack their captured ship and they respond by firing on us. He turned to his comm officer. Jenny, open a channel to the destruction. Frequency open, she replied efficiently. Constellation to destruction, please reply to this hail. Surprisingly, the view screen shimmered, and Commander Tack was grinning when the image stabilized. This is Commander Tack of the Klingon D6 battlecruiser destruction. Who are you, and what do you want? This is Captain Sawyer of the Federation starship Constellation. We fired on the D7V because it has been commandeered by Tholians who have displayed overt hostilities against the Federation in our private little battle up here. Please consider a ceasefire between our two species. Tack laughed as only a Klingon can, packed with sarcasm, derision, superiority, and a bad temper. Captain Sawyer, he replied with a Klingon sneer, at long last we meet. Are you not aware of your notoriety among Klingon warriors? Sawyer blinked, betraying confusion to his adversary. Me? Of course, Tack replied. Captain Sawyer, warrior poet of the United Federation of Planets. Sawyer answered with a safe Starfleet rejoinder. I am an explorer. To whom am I speaking? I am a decorated warrior of the Klingon Empire, and I know you are more than just an explorer. You understand borders and conflict, fleet actions, battle and war. We are more alike than you can admit, I understand. But let us not waste this glorious opportunity on idle speech. You have already done more than that, Commander, as I am sure your sensors tell you. Tack waved the accusation away as if the damage to Sawyer's ship were minimal. Oh, look, Captain, Tack informed him ironically. That captured D7V is coming around for another attack. I leave you to it, and look forward to further combat. Screen off! Corin fairly shouted from his station. Captain, the D7V is indeed closing on us. Don't give him the chance. Take him out. Fire remaining photons and torpedoes. The Constellation fired a torpedo and a phaser 1 at the Iron Fist. The ship listed out of control as explosions rocked it from the inside. "Helm, give us some distance." The Iron Fist exploded. Its Tholian crew shattered into a billion crystal shards and vaporized. 6 ships, Sawyer muttered. Who will be next? Romulan Star Empire, Old Cruiser Glorious. The Romulan commander Navala Temeric surveyed the battle from her ready room. Where to begin, she mused, and how to end. She had cultivated an active hatred for the Tholians. Navala found them arrogant and stupid. Their incessant border disputes and expansionism had led many Romulan vessels to their webbed doom. She activated her monitor. "Bridge, this is the commander." Her first officer responded immediately. "Caius here." "Caius, I have chosen our first target." "The Tholian destroyer," he replied tonelessly. "Will you be coming to the bridge?" Navala twirled her long hair with a forefinger. "No, Caius, I trust you to dispatch with the Webbers. I shall observe from my ready room." Caius saluted. "By your orders, Commander, and glory to battle. Total destruction." Navala held up the forefinger that had twirled her hair into a curl. "Not total destruction." "Commander?" Caius inquired, his eyebrows raised. "I want just one thing from that ship, Caius," she said in an almost lilting voice. "I want a ring." "A ring," he repeated. "Yes, that is correct. When the destroyer explodes, I want you to beam aboard a fragment of Tholian body crystal, as well as a piece of metal from the ship's hull. When you present me with this symbol of success, I will know we have won the battle. Do not otherwise trouble me with this battle or its aftermath. Only the ring." Caius Tretovan was accustomed to his commander's odd request. She treasured trophies taken in battle. Navala had a brooch made from the multifaceted eye of a Gorn, the ears of a Khazinti fashioned into a small purse, and an Andorian antenna for which she had found no other use than as a desk ornament. Caius bowed to his commander and strode onto the bridge, taking the center seat. He hit a comm button and gave his commander's order to the transporter chief. "I can do that," the chief replied. "When you have the fragments, bring them to the chief engineer and remember to give him the commander's ring size." There was a silence on the other end. "I don't know it. Ask the commander herself." Caius ordered a tactical overlay on the view screen. "Helm, close to 5,000 kilometers on the Tholian destroyer. Weapons, standby plasma torpedoes and phasers." "Yes, sir. Charging weapons." The Gloriosus swung around and beneath the battle, rising up to meet the triax. "Now at 5,000 kilometers, sir," the helm reported. "Fire!" The Plasma F ripped through the destroyer's shields and crippled her hull. A phaser II finished off the little ship as it spun beneath the plane of the battle and exploded. "Transporter room?" was his first priority. "Got them, sir." "Good. Now make that damned ring." Before Caius could reply, a blinding bluish-white light appeared on the bridge. "Organian!" he swore. "Commander, to the bridge!" The sphere of light emitted a high-pitched whining noise similar to a hand phaser on overload, and then it spoke. "I appear before you as I do the other starship commanders in this realm of empty space." Federation Heavy Cruiser USS Constellation NCC 1017A. Captain Sawyer rose from his command chair and approached the ball of blinding light. "It was you, Organian. You brought us here to fight." "Yes, it was the Organian Council that brought all of you here." "But why? I thought you had proclaimed yourselves the peacekeepers of the galaxy. How does the instigation of battle further your supposedly peaceful intentions?" The sphere decreased in intensity for a moment, before flaring up again as it spoke. You have a saying among your human people, tough love. Is this not correct?" Captain Sawyer harumphed. "Yes, we do. But combat is no way to show it." Klingon Empire D6 battlecruiser destruction. Commander Tak joined the debate.
I disagree with the Federation captain. Combat is exactly how we Klingons show tough love. But we do not need your meddling in our affairs. What we do in empty space far from your planet is our own business.
The Organian replied, Under our peace treaty, Klingon, wherever your violence is instigated, we are there to stop it.
But you started it, Organian. I never would have ordered my ship here in this space. In fact, I have no memory of how I and my crew ended up here in this 5,000 Kelikam battle.
We spirited you across the galactic barrier, of course, Klingon. Your subsequent hostilities were not instigated by us. You chose to fight. Gorn Confederation Dreadnought Doom Lizard. Captain Gila strode across the bridge until he was less than a meter from the brilliant, blinding light.
I did not choose to fight, he countered. In fact, I allowed my adversary to chase me here. My crew only fought because we were pushed into battle by you.
The sphere lit up brighter with a tint of reddish glow. You are not being honest with yourself, Captain. Sooner or later you would have turned and attacked. We merely offered you the battleground on which to fight.
Captain Gila hiss-growled. You cannot possibly know that. I did not wish battle with the Tholian dreadnought. I was awaiting an opportunity to shake her and accelerate to warp 6 when you pushed us all within this arena.
And yet you still did not disengage. You never even made an attempt.
That is because you introduced allies, and indeed friends, who required our assistance.
Federation Heavy Cruiser USS Constellation, NCC 1017A. Captain Sawyer addressed the ball of light on his bridge. That is correct, Organian. Captain Gila and I are associates, allies, and we are working very diligently to become friends. A peace treaty between the United Federation of Planets and the Gorn Confederation. A peace which began not on Organia and by Organians, but on a planetoid in Metron space and by the Metrons. But we humans and Gorns together decided on that peace, not you. Perhaps we should take this up with the Metrons? The Organian spun like a lighted pinwheel. We are not in Metron space. Also, we understand very well the Metron Treaty. As long as you stay out of their space, they will not interfere in your doings. But the Organian Peace Treaty knows no boundaries. Wherever you fight is within our jurisdiction. Even in extra-galactic space above the galactic plane, Sawyer countered. Everywhere in and around this galaxy. If you were to take your hostilities to another galaxy, we would cease to interfere. But you are in our galaxy, and you will follow the rules and guidelines of our treaty, or else find more of your vessels caught and forced to fight. None of our attempts to halt your hostilities has succeeded. Thus we have resorted to tough love. Captain Sawyer shook his head, his arms crossed. Organian, if you had the capacity of empathy, you would know that battle is never love, even tough love. Battle is hate. Klingon Empire D6 battlecruiser destruction.
I am not comfortable agreeing with my Federation enemy, but in this case he is absolutely correct. Battle is indeed hate, Organian, something I understand especially well. Tell me how this orchestrated battle has increased the peace. We are at war!
We are attempting to teach you that war is not the way. That is why you have been forced into battle.
Tak shook his head. Even I as a Klingon reject your battle. We do not require your lessons.
And yet you will continue to fight.
You cannot stop the war.
That is a possibility. But we have foreseen a future in our galaxy in which the species have tired of war and eventually work together throughout all our space.
That will never happen, you incorporeal do-gooder.
In time, Klingon, you will require the aid of the Federation, and peace will follow.
That is insane, Tak yelled. We will never depend on the Federation, and we will never make peace.
Federation Heavy Cruiser USS Constellation, NCC 1017A. I disagree with the Klingon. said Captain Sawyer. "I can imagine an era of peace in the future." "We are attempting to speed up that future, Captain. A general war will result in the deaths of millions." "But forcing us to battle will not bring us peace. You have interfered with our governments before. The Federation accepts your peace, however long it will take to achieve it. But you are not helping. Perhaps mortality is something you've forgotten in your evolution from corporeal to incorporeal beings. We are not ants for you to step on." "No, you're ants who step on yourselves. We have watched you since we initiated the peace treaty. Your governments have only continued to fight." "Hence the tough love. How can you be so advanced and just not get it?" "And what is it we do not get? Even now I can see your mind's truth. You are a self-proclaimed warrior, a soldier. All of your starships are armed, even the scouts. Do I misinterpret your thoughts?" Sawyer sighed. "That is true, but my primary mission has always been one of peace. In fact, we were exploring this region of space before we found ourselves surrounded and forced to fight." "Tough love," the Organian said, and vanished. "Wait!" Sawyer cried. The Organian was gone and was not coming back. "Tough love my ass," Sawyer swore. "Helm, take us out to 20,000 kilometers. Stand by warp drive for disengagement." "Executing course," Helm replied. The Constellation spun around and sped for empty space beyond the rigged battle. At 5,000 kilometers from their previous position, the starship hit an invisible wall and turned 180 degrees hard about, facing the battle within its 10,000-kilometer confines. No disengagement allowed. Gorn Confederation Dreadnought Doom Lizard. Captain Sawyer appeared on the bridge's main viewer. "The Organians have erected some form of force barrier at 5,000 kilometers distance from the center of the battle," he informed the Gorn captain. "No escape from their tough love." "I do not understand this tough love," Gila admitted. Sawyer nodded. "The Organians mean for us to destroy each other." "You mammals have a strange definition of love. That's not my definition, but not surprising for an incorporeal being that has lost its empathy." Suddenly an explosion rocked the Doom Lizard. "Phaser 1 from a Romulan carrier," Commander Kamen reported. "They just uncloaked to starboard." The main viewer broke into static and popped off, smoke climbing from the cracked screen. The ship was doomed. It rapidly lost hull integrity, and the warp core breached. "Hands to the escape pods!" was Gila's last command as captain of the Doom Lizard. A moment later, the gigantic Gorn dreadnought flared up like a little sun, its particles scattered within a 10,000-kilometer sphere of destruction. Federation Heavy Cruiser USS Constellation, NCC 1017A. Captain Sawyer barked orders in rapid succession. "Helm, close on that Romulan carrier. Weapons, stand by for fighter attack. Arm photons and phasers and lock on Romulan carrier." "Coming around," Helm replied. "Within 3,000 kilometers, Captain." "Phaser 1 bank charged. Photon torpedo on overload ready, sir." "For Captain Gila," Sawyer swore to the stars. "Fire!" The photon torpedo burst from its tube and tore through space in a red rent arc as the Phaser 1 sizzled blue, and both hit the Romulan carrier, scoring hull damage, destruction to the fighter bays, cloaking device, and a Phaser 3 bank. "Romulan old cruiser is closing on attack vector," weapons reported. "They are arming a plasma R." A good captain knows when he is about to lose his ship. He feels it as a pain throbbing in his chest like a lover who will never see his beloved again. Captain Sawyer was going down with his ship. "Jenny, alert all stations to abandon ship." "Aye, Captain." "And then get to your escape pod." Very rapidly, the officers cleared the bridge, and Captain Sawyer sat alone, stoically, in his command chair. When the Plasma R hit the Constellation, the heavy cruiser broke in half, and the entire ship exploded. Romulan Star Empire Old Cruiser Gloriosus. Caius offered the ring to his commander. She placed it on her ring finger and observed the Tholian crystal refracting the subdued light in her ready room. Glorious, Caius, I thank you. She admired the ring before resuming. The battle is over, I assume? Yes, Commander, I believe so. 4 ships have survived. The Gloriosus, the carrier Relentless, the Klingon D6 battlecruiser Destruction, and a Kzinti frigate FF-257. The Kzinti is disengaged beyond the 10,000-kilometer barrier. Our shields have been increased by 2,000%, a gift from the Organians. We can return to Romulan space on your command. Take us home, Caius, she ordered, and steer clear of Organians or any other incorporeal superspecies.